as Asim was saying, have a bit of a masterclass. And what we would like to do with the masterclass is actually focus on a topic where we can draw upon the insights and information that we've learnt about over the last few hours from some of our distinguished speakers, and also to take on your vast knowledge and experience with the different fields that you work in which are relevant to financial inclusion, and try and apply all that to one particular problem. And the problem that we've decided on, I will introduce you to in a couple of moments. So in order to work through that problem, we will allocate you into a number of groups. And then we will have a brainstorm. And the brainstorm will be driven by you in each of your groups. And during that brainstorm, you will have an opportunity to think about the problem, which I will introduce to you in a couple of minutes, and to think about what would be your solution or your proposition to addressing this problem. And it will be a problem that pertains to financial inclusion at the bottom of the pyramid. So it'll be something which I think we all really care about. So we'll allow you to do that over about 25 minutes. And then we will have 20 minutes for feedback. And in the feedback session, we will have each of you in the groups. So we'll have 4 groups. So each of the 4 groups spending about 5 minutes each, letting us know what is it that you've come up with in terms of the solutions and the propositions for the problem. The purpose of those 3 steps is to just show what is the power of ourselves when we work together as entrepreneurs, thinkers, policymakers, and investors. What is the power that we can bring together when we apply our minds together to a problem for a very short period of time? And I think what will be interesting is to see what those solutions are that come out. And what will also be interesting is that many of us come from different types of organizations, and we will try and mix you up a little bit when we do the groups, so that you can really get an opportunity to cross-fertilize a little bit. Then finally, we will have some case examples. This will be a little bit just myself and Jeffrey sharing some of our experience of what we've seen that works in the world. Some of the examples that we've been discussing this morning through the panels and through the presentations, we will try and add to those with a few more. And if you think about all 4 points of the agenda, what we're really trying to do through this masterclass is to have a little bit of a working session where we can just explore our power to be able to conceive of pertinent solutions that really address the challenges that we've been talking about today. So if we can move to the next slide. And the next one. So here we are. So here is the challenge. So this came about from a little bit of brainstorming that we did in advance a couple of weeks ago with Asim and the team from the Islamic Development Bank. And we thought about what would be a good problem statement that's very relevant to us here in Indonesia. And of course, there are many that we can choose from, but we felt this one was very relevant, which is the lives of Indonesian fishermen. And we thought that's relevant for a few reasons, mainly because the lives of Indonesian fishermen determine the livelihoods of many millions of people in this country, because it's a very important part of the agricultural sector output of Indonesia. It also happens to be a sector which has got a very large number of small players, fishermen or fishing families, that struggle to put the money together to get assets, and that struggle to finance buying a new boat or upgrading the technology that they use for their fishing activities. So we felt as though, yes, it's a good problem, and it's a good area for us to spend a little bit of time thinking about. So we thought, let's set a challenge. And the challenge that we tried to define is, how do we enable Indonesian fishermen to improve their yield through purchasing equipment, through also managing their business better, and through accessing timely and valuable information. So this really goes to the heart of some of the topics we've been talking about. So firstly, raising finance. How do you do that in a situation where you may not have collateral or security? You may not have access to a financial institution, as we heard earlier this morning. Secondly, how do you improve your yield through purchasing better equipment? So what is it that you will do in terms of improving the yield that you have from your fishing activities? How will you manage your business better? So a lot of fishing communities may not have all of the capabilities and the tools that they need to manage their finances better, or to sell in the right market, or to have the right training and knowledge as to where to fish at different times of the year. Of course, they are very, very knowledgeable because it's a trade which they engage in on a daily basis and often across generations. But nevertheless, there are ways in which their productivity can improve. One of the things that we found was that agricultural productivity in developing countries is still about half the agricultural productivity in Western countries. Some of that's because of mechanization, but some of that's because of better access to information and knowledge. And finally, how is it that fishermen could access better and more timely information? So really thinking about how these things could be addressed. So the next slide, please. And just to set the context a little bit more, here are a few interesting facts, if you like, about Indonesian fisheries sector. And I'd like you to take a little note of this as we go, because when you're in your 4 groups, we will very much encourage you to think about your solutions in terms of what sort of impact they might have in terms of the problem statement. So here's a little guided tour of some very high-level facts about the Indonesian fisheries sector. So firstly, Indonesian GDP is 10,500 trillion IDR, and about 10% of that is agricultural output, so about 1,000 trillion IDR. So about 10% of Indonesian GDP is agriculture today. If you look at the agriculture sector, approximately a quarter of all agricultural output comes from fisheries. So fisheries is a very significant aspect to the Indonesian economy. A quarter of agricultural output is coming from fisheries. Secondly, what's the export value of fisheries in the Indonesian economy? Well, it's $3.3 billion, according to data from about a year ago. That's actually quite small, in my opinion. I'm not a fisheries expert, but my sense is for an economy the size of Indonesia's, which is almost not far off $1 trillion, it's about 750 billion US dollars. 3.3 billion is actually quite small. So maybe it's worth thinking about whether that should be a lot bigger or not. What's the number of boats that Indonesian fishermen have? Well, they have about 640,000 boats, according to the Ministry of Fisheries and Agriculture. 640,000 boats are being used in Indonesia, of all sorts of sizes, so the size distribution is quite varied, but a total number of 640,000. So if you look at the total amount of output in Indonesia, then you'll be able to figure out what the average output is per boat. And I think you'll be getting access to some data packs very soon. And we've included in your data packs a few tables of data of the Indonesian fisheries sector, which I hope you will find interesting and find useful for your problem solving. And in that, you'll find some data on the total amount of fisheries output, the total number of boats, and some more data. Finally, how many fishermen are there and how many people depend on fisheries in this country? Well, according to the government's data, 2.6 million people are engaged in fishing activities in Indonesia. So, again, a very substantial number of people. And if the labor force in this country is 150 million, then that means it's sort of somewhere between 1% and 2% of the labor force. And approximately 1 million families depend on fisheries for income. This is direct data, so not indirect. So directly 1 million families are depending on fisheries. Of course, indirectly, the number would be more if those families are supporting others who depend on them for access to income. So from a socio-economic perspective, the problem statement is quite a relevant one for us to address. So that, in a sense, is the context. I hope that's a good one for us to spend a little bit of time thinking about. Yep. So let's use the power of the discussion we've had in the last 2 to 3 hours since we began these sessions this morning to really bring it in and see what we can do to identify solutions for this particular challenge. By the end of the session, when we've taken your feedback and taken your points, I think what we will do is we will put those together, hand them back to the Islamic Development Bank team as well, so that we can actually think about what else can be done with the fruits of our thoughts. Okay, next slide, please. So at this stage, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Jeffrey, who will introduce you to how we'd like you to split into some groups. And what I would say before handing over to Jeffrey is that when you're in your groups, please think about what sort of tools and methods you are using as entrepreneurs to figure out what you'd like to do to solve the problems. Just give that a little bit of thought as you think it through. I think that'll also be very helpful. So without further ado, handing over to Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mohammed. Right, ladies and gentlemen, so continuing to what has been laid out by Mohammed on how we are going to improve the life of fishermen in Indonesia, let's zoom in a little bit on the 4 dimensions of the business challenges that we can put more thoughts into in how to improve their lives. So the first one, about the funding for the fishermen, we would like you to have a discussion on how we should be, how the fishermen can fundraise or obtain financing in buying new boats, but at the same time also gaining the trust from the lenders that the funds that is channeled through the fishermen is being used properly. So think about how the process of applying for the financing, whether you want to consider about the crowdsourcing as well, like previously mentioned as well. And then how to channel that to the respective supplier channel. Okay, that's the first dimension of the business challenge. The second one, after you gain the financing, how you're going to get the loan repayment, how to make it easy for the fishermen, because you know that fishermen maybe is not having the cash at all times to their hands. So how to make them easy for the payment, whether you are going to consider the loan repayment through the pelelangan ikan, the fish markets, or having them as an agent. That is something that you can further explore. And the third one is about how to increase their yield productivity through obtaining the correct information. When to go to the sea, what type of fish that they need to look for, where they need to sell the fishes. So how the fishermen can obtain those data to improve themselves so they can manage their business better. Okay? And the fourth one is about the financial education, because most of them maybe just currently are not financially literate. How to educate them on the financial products, how to make savings, what about the insurance, how about the making them aware of the investment that they need to take for enlarging their business. So let's look into these 4. We would like you to have a discussion on how the technology can be used to solve this problem, as mentioned by Mohammed. Think about the tools and also the method. Okay? To do this, we are going to split you to 4 groups, and to make a good mixture of a team within each group, I would like you to count from A to D in series, starting from you, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, and you, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B. Do I miss anybody here? No? Okay. The last one is B, yeah? And continue from here. C, D, user is A, B, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, you remember C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. Sorry to have to move around. Yours, A, B, user, D, A, B, C, A, B, C, D, A. You, ma'am, will be B, C, D, A, B, user C, D, A, B, C. All right. So later on, we would like to, for all of you who have a letter A, to gather around and with the B and C and so forth. Okay, let's move on. Sorry, the last one is a C. Okay. You, sir, will be joining. You will be a D, and then you will be A, B, C, D, 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 A, B, C. All right. Is there anyone who haven't got their letters, their team number allocated? All right. So for the group discussion, Team A will be on my right-hand side on the front. Team B, my right-hand side on the back. And Team C, my left-hand side on the back. And Team D at the front here on my left-hand side. And we have 25 minutes to discuss. Scribble anything that the points or the ideas that you will be discussing and at the flip charts. For each of the team, we will provide you with the participant deck. So it's information and also some of the areas of consideration within each of the business cases. And we would also like you to appoint one person for each of the team. So he will be representing after the discussion. Okay? To shorten the time, please, for the team A, gather around on the right hand.
Okay.
Attention to all the groups. We have 5 minutes left for the discussion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the time should be up, but let's wrap up everything within the next 3 minutes. So prepare one spokesperson from each of the team to present the idea. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe this has been a very interesting discussion within each of the team. But unfortunately, we have to wrap up with the discussion session. Okay? Before we move on, let's give a big round of applause for all of us. Okay, so for the next session, we'd like to have one spokesperson or more from each of the team. You got 5 minutes maximum to present your idea on each of the business challenges. So for Team A, the floor is yours. Minutes to wrap up. Is that be done? Yeah. Okay, please, team number A. Team A. How to enable the fishermen to obtain financing and earn the trust from the lenders.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We're gonna tell what we have discussed about the point A. For the first solution that we are gonna take is making a cooperation. I mean, some organization, so that this organization will make the lenders sure that the fishermen can really want to buy a new boat, and then this organization will help them. And then choose neighborhood grocery store for field agent, which leader can trust him or her. And then moral guarantee. Maybe for this point of C. Maybe will be explained by one of my team.
Yeah, we are thinking of building a moral guarantee of forming groups. That's what they call group lending. That every 5 or 7 members of fishermen form one group, and everyone guarantees each other.
And then for the next point, one of our ways is fishermen need to make a simple business plan. It consists of what the condition of the fishermen now and how much money they need to buy the new boat. Actually, to convince the lenders, maybe if the simple business plan doesn't really help, maybe the lenders can make a challenge for the fishermen. Maybe like what can do so that it can be a guarantee for the lenders trust the fishermen. And then after the lenders trust the fishermen, after the money given to them, the fisherman can give a bill as the guarantee that he already done what they want to do. It is buying a new boat. And then the lenders, to make convince the lenders can make control. So they can go there maybe once a month or twice a month so that they can keep control on them. And then for the last points will be explained again by one of my team.
Yeah, we think that the lender has to check the financial history of the fishermen. Maybe they had another previous loan from another lender. So the creditworthiness of the fishermen has to be checked. And then also asking like some neighbors or like the mayor of the city or of the village about fishermen and their attitude and their personality. Also, the loan officer who was filing the application, we think he should be from the same neighborhood, so he can know the fishermen individually. Thank you.
Okay, is that all for Team A?
That's all our discussion that will give back big impact for the development of fishermen. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Let's give a big round of applause. So having a community-based and making a simple business plan and how to check their credit worthiness. That's the highlight on the team number A. Oh, not done. Let's just wrap up because we are running out of time. Can we?
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thank you for my group who has been working for me. I'm not a great leader, but thank you for giving me your thoughts. So basically, first, we are having so many discussions about what are the problems. So there are the system, the flow, the procedure and stuff, and then there's also literature. Oh, I'm sorry, this one. There you go. Late payment system, technology, and there is also like unpredictable ecological problems, environment stuff. There is also lifestyle. Usually people like fishermen, they were having the money and then they spend it right away. Like giving their children some money and then stuff. Also the distance, the infrastructure, and then the people, the character mostly. Right, working on the solution. First, we are making an Islamic, obviously, microfinance institution to educate and then giving loans and then maintain and also create the market. So this guy will establish near the fishermen, so that works on the distance problem. They don't have to worry about the distance anymore because that's we have established it near them. And then they give training too. They're going to give them what is the loan, when to pay, why you should pay, what should you use the money for and stuff. Also, make a cooperative-based community, like a social platform, because many of the fishermen are living in a community, but not really an organization. So we're going to make one. We have to make one actually, so that the microfinance institution can work together with the community. So it's like not individually, but with the community. That will make it more systemic, I think, something like that. And no riba, of course, obviously. Government is the leading institution. We will work with the regulator. And then there's also an idea to make an e-commerce for the fishermen, which makes us